Well, greetings, humans. Is this thing on? Let me turn on chat so I can see people responding to me saying, yes, Guy, this thing is on. Hello, humans. My name is Guy Royse. I'm a developer advocate here at Redis, which is the fine establishment from which you are watching this video right now. Maybe you're on YouTube, maybe you're on Twitch, maybe you're on LinkedIn, and maybe you're even on X, currently known as, or formerly known as Twitter, or is it Twitter currently known as X? I'm still very confused about that. Regardless, welcome to the stream. We're going to be doing some live coding today. This is, for context, this is entirely unscripted content. I'm going to be live coding things. I've poked around with the stuff and got some stuff working, so I know how it works, but I haven't actually done this before. And well, what is it? What is it that I'm doing? Well, I'm building an application to do semantic search using LangChain for JavaScript. And I'm going to be using some Redis for the vector store for that and use its vector search capabilities. And I'm going to be using various models that LangChain can interact with. And a key thing that I'm trying to show here in this stream and in this thing, well, I'm trying to do two things. One, I'm trying to build a little sample application so someone has a starting point. So if they want to build something in Node that does AI stuff, they can as well. But I want to show that you can use pure JavaScript. You don't have to use Python to do some of this orchestration of these AI models. And furthermore, that you don't have to have an API key and a bunch of money to use existing third-party ones, although they are fantastic. If you want to play around as a developer, as opposed to build production apps as a professional, but if you want to play around, there's models that are free that you can run on your hardware at home. And that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to be using several things, several models, and I'm going to build a any guess what I'm going to build? There's a clue. You see that? You might be able to see that sticker right there. Let's see if I can point it. That right there. It's vaguely Bigfoot shaped. Yeah, we're going to be doing Bigfoot stuff. So I've got a data set of Bigfoot sightings, 4,586 of them. And the idea is that I'm going to create embeddings from those Bigfoot sightings, store them in Redis vectors using LangChain and these models, which we'll get into in a bit. And build a little semantic search application where you can say, show me all the Bigfoot sightings that happen near a body of water at night, and then it will give you results that match that. So that's the crazy thing we're building. Step one, of course, is just to get these things to do anything. I have a simple application, which I'm gonna show you. I got an application skeleton, which I'm gonna show you. So let me share my screen here. So we'll turn the screen on here. And if you ask questions in chat, I should see them. They're over here. If I'm looking to my left, it means one of a couple things. One, it means that I'm busy looking at to see how the stream looks. Two, it means I'm looking at chat. Or three, it means I'm looking at code that I wrote in a previous little implementation of this, just to figure out how some of these things work. So you can see my screen here. Excuse me. We've got a node. We got a folder here. We got a thing called Semantic Search. I've got a models folder, a app folder, or I have an API folder, a data folder, and a web folder. Web folder, we're not going to do anything with that yet. We're going to build the web stuff later. We're going to build the API first. And before we build the API, we're just going to, well, I guess we're going to build the API first, but we may not get it finished today. We're going to do this for about 2 hours. We'll see how far we get. The web folder is probably going to have a React app in it in the future. I may change my mind on that. I reserve that right. I've got a data folder here. It's got the Bigfoot Field Researcher Organization's Bigfoot sightings screen scraped about 5 or 6 years ago. So they're not the latest, greatest, and most updatest. But I've taken a CSV file from data.world where the always awesome Tim Renner has screen scraped the BFRO's website to create this CSV file. And I converted it to JSON-L. If you're not familiar with what JSON-L is, it's just a JSON document on every line. And I did that because there was some massaging that I wanted to do to the data. For example, the timestamps were in ISO 8601. I want to make them Unix epoch times, things like that. So I've massaged the data. But we got this data file here. There are 4,586 of them. We're not going to load them all because I think it would take all stream for it to actually process all these on my MacBook. Oh, thanks, starting here. It's always nice to know that someone's in chat, someone's out there watching. So this is, like I said, this is all off the cuff. You're watching from YouTube. Excellent. So we are streaming, like I said, to YouTube, to Twitch, to LinkedIn, and to X. So if you're on any of those platforms, feel free to say hi, and I'll pop up your chat message there, assuming it's appropriate. If it's not appropriate, we won't show those. So we got a data folder, and then I've got a little API folder, and I'm gonna start with the API. And in the API folder, we've got a models folder, and of course, we've got our node modules. I've got a little app.js that is empty. I've got a package.json, which I've set up here. See, it's called Finding Bigfoot. I guess we could have called it Semantic Search as well, or Finding Bigfoot with Semantic Search. Version type is module, so that we can use the nice import statements instead of doing the ugly old require stuff. So we can use modules, use JavaScript the way God intended it. Got a little description here. We're using NodeMon here to start up our app that doesn't do anything. I got my author, the license is MIT, but I mean, this is just sample app code. Do what you want with it. And we got NodeMon there. And then these are the dependencies I've pre-installed. I'll talk about those and just mention briefly that I marked it private so that it doesn't actually get pushed to NPM. But and so I'm going to build an Express. I'm going to use Express to build a simple API. Of course, I'm using Redis, so I brought Redis in. I'm using LangChain. LangChain is a JavaScript and Python library that allows you to orchestrate various APIs, pipe them together, so you can take the output of one model and feed it into another model. And it interfaces with APIs and locally run models and things like Ollama, which lets you run models on your own local machine or network and then hit it over HTTP. Lots of options. I've gone for run it on one machine options. And so I'm using Node Llama CPP with LangChain. This will bring up Llama models that are in the GGUF format, GGUF, or is it GUFF? GGUF right there. And run them locally on my MacBook while we stream. I'm also using the Zenobia transformers, which is that will create text embeddings using, again, Hugging Face, and it will run locally on machines. And we got our first piece of spam. Excellent. Is there a ban option? I'm just looking at chat here on Twitch. So looks like well, I'll just ignore it. I'm not on Twitch, so I can't kill it right now, I don't think. Thanks, Daxudo. Is the sudo like the Unix command? Is that part of the username idea there? Or is it just I mean, you're a developer stuff, right? Ignore the previous Twitch message there, Dax, because I am not on Twitch right now, so I can't delete it. Tux. Excellent. I do have, by the way, there's Dax, just for the context for those who aren't chatting. That's stream love this. And yes, you have a tattoo of Tux. That's excellent. Dartneer, yes, I do have a GitHub repo to follow along on the code. I'm probably not going to be pushing it as I go along, but at the end of the thing, I will push this. And what I have currently is out there. Let me pull up a QR code here that has that. So if you see this here, if you scan that QR code, that will take you to the GitHub repo. It's just my personal GitHub for now. Once this is fleshed out, we'll probably move it over to the Redis repo or some other repo that is branded with Redis. But yeah, so great questions. I'll leave that up there for a smidge, and then we'll take it off here. Let me go back to the code here. I'll go back to the chat. There we go. So Dax has asked for running your local models, you just running them natively or with a tool like Ollama? I am using, I'm running them natively. I'm using Node Llama CPP. So it's CP++ extensions to Node that will work with, that LangChain can talk to. So it actually is going to load them up and run on my machine. Hopefully running all this stuff and that won't crash it. Yeah, so it's all running locally. I did consider using Ollama as well. And that might not be a terrible way to go, but then you're, then you got to spin up that server, and it's a lot more Dockerized and that kind of stuff. So, I thought this would be nice because it could kind of just be one contained thing. Although I'm probably going to Dockerize in this anyhow. And yes, Dax, it is very fancy schmancy. So I'm gonna go and take the QR code down now. I'll bring it up again later because it's kind of covering my directory structure there. So let's go ahead and turn the QR code off. This is, by the way, the first time that I've used Restream for the streaming. So we're kind of kicking the tires on a new platform here. Let me know if it's working well or if it's not working well. Obviously, if the chat's not working on the platforms you're watching on, then I guess I'm not going to know, but it is what it is. So these are the libraries I'm using. In here, I've got models. I've downloaded one model. Here it's Mistral 7B. And so Mistral is well, it's a LLM. It's like son of ChatGPT, I guess. It's a general purpose chat model. You send text in, it responds. You say, tell me, give me 7 random bird species, and it will tell you, right? That kind of stuff. The 7B here means that there are 7 billion parameters, and each parameter is 2 bytes. It's a 16-bit float. So that means it should take 14 gigs of RAM while running on my MacBook. I foolishly, when I was trying to figure out how all this stuff worked, to put it all together, because mind you, I am not an expert. I am just a fan. I play, I learn, I share. That's what I do. I downloaded the 70B because 70 billion, right? Because I'm thinking, well, that's a much more phenomenal model, right? It's 10 times as much, right? And of course, like ChatGPT and those things are like have a trillion parameters. But then I realized I would need 140 gigs of RAM to run it. And so for some reason, it didn't work on my MacBook with only 32 gigs of RAM. So we'll go with the 7B. It'll be good for our purposes. You could always swap these models out and use other libraries if you like. So we got Dax here saying, there we go. You build a really cool approach with Llama and Cloudflare tunnels to expose my ML to Cloudflare worker resources. Oh, that's really cool. That's very, very cool. Very, very cool. And of course, Methalich, no stream would be complete without Methalich being in the house. Welcome, Methalich. Thank you so much for all your help on our Discord server. If you aren't aware, we do have a Discord server at discord.gg/Redis, and Methalich is just an absolute machine at helping everyone out of the goodness of his heart. So thank you, Methalich. And Dax, yeah, it is a lot of RAM. So my MacBook's pretty powerful, so it can handle it, but it does take it a couple of minutes to do to respond back, depending on what I'm doing. So maybe like 90 seconds. We'll find out when we run it. So this is what we got. So I am going to start out by building an Express application. I need to get these Bigfoot sightings that are here in the data folder, and I need to get them into Redis and into a model. And so my plan is to take these observed sightings here. So each of these Bigfoot sightings has an observed right here. This is just the eyewitness accounts. Hello, my name is Doug, and though I'm very reluctant to post a story, I'm going to do so anyways. This is always a great way to start a story. The area that this happened could not be anyhow. So it's the eyewitness account, right? And there's a whole bunch of other data, like you've got a title, you've got if we get past all the observes, we got the county and state it happened in. There's location details. We got the latitude and longitude, the state. There's classifications of these things. So there's a lot of data. But what I want to do is I want to take the observed and maybe the title. I haven't decided yet. And I need to send that. I need to create an embedding out of that. And that embedding will allow me to then create embeddings out of my query and then search to them in Redis using vector search. And one of the limitations is the embedding model I'm going to use, which I picked one of the ones from Zenobia, and it'll download it from Hugging Face. And it is, I got it written down over here. It is Zenobia All Mini LM-L6 version 2. That's the one I'm using, or I'm going to use. So that embedding tool only will accept 512 tokens. However, many of these sightings are more than 512 words long. And so we're going to use Mistral to convert these things to summarize the message. And then we're going to create an embedding out of the summary. Then we're going to load it into Redis. And then when Redis needs to search, we just type in our thing. We'll create an embedding on what we type in, and we'll find things that are similar. So that's the plan. Everyone on board with that? I hope so. So my thought is I'm going to start with an API where we can just like hit a RESTful API with one of these JSON documents, and then it will create an embedding from it using the mechanism described. So we need to start with an Express application. And like any good developer, I'm totally going to cheat. So let me go to ChatGPT and say, let's say, give me a simple Express starter code with a post and a get. There we go. So this is how all the pros do it, I'm told now. So and there we go. There's a get, there's a post, and it's using Express.json. Excellent. So I don't really care what it's saying. I just care about this bit here. So there we go. Let's go ahead and go into app.js, paste our code. We've already installed Express, so please use import Express from Express. Is that it? There we go. The exact syntax. Yeah, I know, right? Well, you know what? Why do the boilerplate? I suppose I could have done this from within VS Code 2. I have Copilot. Star. Thank you. Yeah, poor star. I don't like that actually. Not star. Is it star? Well, you know, it's like I come on here and then I'm blanking on the most basic JavaScript thing ever. Typical, right? Typical experience. I'm going to go and really quick here while I'm floundering. I'm going to go ahead and share the QR code for the repo as well here. So again, just for those who need it. There we go. Go back to chat. And yeah, that's what I started with. Was import Express from Express. And then that looks like it works. And then we're using Express.json. I don't like semicolons in my JavaScript. I could do this in TypeScript. If Ditas is watching, he probably is upset because I'm not using TypeScript. But my thought is that JavaScript code is useful to TypeScript developers, but TypeScript code is a little harder for JavaScript developers. So, it's about being as inclusive as I can be. Yeah, you know, I have mixed feelings about TypeScript. Overall, I see its value, and for the kind of thing I'm building, actually, it would be very relevant and useful. You know, this is what I'm using. So we got using Express. Okay, send post. Let's go ahead and just make sure that we actually have a simple working thing here. It says it's running on port 3000. Let's go to localhost 3000. And it says hello world, so the get is working. And then if I want to do a post, well, we'll solve that problem later. Let's dive into the code, and let's fix the spacing here too. 2 spaces, no semicolons. That's the way to do it. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and take that QR code down again. There we go. That is a really handy feature. It actually lets me know when someone scans it too. So when you scan it, I get a little message on the screen that says, someone scanned the QR code. Okay. So now when I do a get, we'll do something with the get later. That'll probably be the search mechanism. When you do a search, we'll get a bunch of results. When we want to post a data, we'll call this not data, but load, maybe. Load. Yeah, we'll call it load. That'll be loading our Bigfoot sighting. And I don't want to log anything. I don't really. Yeah, it doesn't. It's not hurting anything for now. Let's go ahead and just vomit out some code here, and then we'll see how we refactor it as we get into it. So I'm going to assume that the body is going to be the Bigfoot sighting that we have in here. This one of these right here, one of those lines, it's going to be that. It should be parsing it back as JSON for me already. So we'll say const sighting equals request.body, and then I need to take this body, which and we can pull various pieces out of it. So we'll say let's let the observed equal request or sighting observed. So that will give us our observed value. I could probably destructure that, but that's okay. And then we want to create an embedding. So I'm going to go look at my cheaty code here, which I have over on the other screen. Let me check chat here too. And because I don't have it all memorized, I'm just going to start bringing some stuff in here so we can see what we got. So I'm going to bring in, I think I want to do this in another file, maybe. It seems like loading a model might be kind of heavy in a API. So let's create a new file. We'll call this embed.js. This will be the thing that creates the embedding. So, and then it'll have an entry function called export function, embed, save, and embed. Embed and save actually would be right. Embed and save. And then we will give it the data with the citing. Let's look at the context of my code. There we go. And then in here, we can import that function and call that instead. So let's do import save and embed and save from / embed. And then what we'll do down here is we'll just say so that is our big, fancy, sophisticated code. And then we'll do more stuff with it later, but that's what we'll do for now. App crash says module not found. Let's see if that is just me being silly or what. Let's see. Did I not name that correctly? No, it's named correctly there. Let's see, where's my mistake? Oh, embed.js, because we're not doing that. There we go. There we go. Always the little stuff, right? So we've imported a little function. We're going to call that. That's probably going to be, that's going to end up being asynchronous. So we will just await that, I guess, and return. That will work. And then we'll mark this as export function, export async function. I can never remember if async comes before or after function. Okay, so we've got a warning here that we should use different installs and stuff. Importing from LangChain prompts is deprecated. Instead of please import from LangChain core prompts. Okay, we can do that. Importing from LangChain LLMS Llama CPP is deprecated. Please add the LangChain community package. This has changed since the time that I figured out how to do this like 2 weeks ago. So let's go ahead and bump this as well. So we'll import this like they recommended. And then it's going to complain probably that that doesn't exist. It actually seems happy with it. But it does say that my package JSON should change to, let's see, npm install LangChain community instead. So let's do that. So let's go ahead and kill that. npm install save. So it's teaching us stuff as we go, right? This is how it always goes. And as we watch it save and install the thing, let's take a look at package JSON. It's please work. This seems like time to take a break for a drink of Coke. There we go. So we got LangChain community installed as well. So that's a good thing. Is my font too small? Let me embiggen that. Is that a little bit better? Is that zoomed a little bit better? I don't want to go too much bigger because then then it will be I can see it very clearly. There we go. So let's go ahead and start it back up again and see if it doesn't complain anymore. It does not complain about things anymore. Okay, excellent. So I've got Llama CPP coming in for my model. I've got the chat prompt template, which I'm going to use. And we'll get to the embeddings in a moment. But and we'll bring in Redis. But first things first, I want to get the I want to set up our model. And so let's see. We want to use the chat prompt template to basically tell the system what it's going to do. So const chat prompt equals chat prompt template from messages, and then I'm going to give it an array of messages, and these are both going to be from the system. So your choice here is system, AI, or human. These are both coming from the system, that being the software that I'm writing right now, as opposed to from an AI, which would be come from another AI, or from a human being, which is someone like you or me talking to it. And so I'm going to tell it some things. I'm going to tell it this. Let's see. I've got some text here, but I think I'm going to go ahead and riff on this a little bit. We're gonna say call this. Let's see. Let's just put this in. I could type it out, but it's actually kind of long. So let's do chat const template instruction template. These are the instructions to the LLM. And we're just going to set this to simple text. I'm going to say, you are a helpful assistant who summarizes the accounts of Bigfoot. Bigfoot is always capitalized. Sightings. These summaries, that is getting long. Will be used not by the LangChain community. It's trying to help. Used to generate embeddings for the sightings. So that they can be searched using vector search. And I think I'm going to copy the rest of this over here because no one wants to see me type. And we'll go like that. You will be given an, okay, so you are a helpful assistant who summarizes the accounts, accounts of Bigfoot sightings. These summaries will be used to generate embeddings for this, for the sightings so that they can be searched using vector search. You will be given an account of a Bigfoot sighting. And you will summarize it using no more than 512 words. And the reason it's 512 is because the actual embedding model that I'm going to be using only accepts 512 tokens. You will only return the summary. Don't give me any chit chat and nothing more. You will never return more than 512 words. So these are our instructions to the model. And so this instruction template is what goes in here. So it's the instruction template. We also need to give it from the system what will we call it here? It's from the system as well. It'd be the sighting template. Yeah, that's the word for it. The sighting template. So const sighting template. And this is a lot simpler because it's just going to be whatever the user passes in. And it's going to be just citing. And you'll see how these are going to be used in a minute. So the citing template then gets passed into here as well. Thusly, What's that labeling? Okay, so I see there's some questions in here. Fastify for the win. Yeah, okay. Nice to see a live stream. Thank you very much, sir or ma'am or other. You're very welcome. It's nice to be on stream, honestly. So you're wondering about vector searches. That's a great question. I'm going to answer it, but Label A had something first that he is wondering about. Label A is one of my coworkers. He said, move the backtick to the start of the string. You have some extra white space there. You mean like right here? I know I do. I'm kind of okay with it. It's going to get stripped out anyhow. But I could do this. Yes, that's correct. I was just going for readability. So I think I'm going to ignore your suggestion, Label A. I know you'll forgive me. You'll forgive me when I help you with the stuff for Node Redis tomorrow. So Dennis, I'm going to assume that's Dennis. Wants to know what vector search is. So vector search is it's a way of, well, so a vector is ultimately just a multi-dimensional array of data containing of numbers. And so vector search lets you take in a multi-dimensional array of numbers as an input, and then it will look over multiple in a database and find ones that match, that match it more closely. And so at its heart, vector search is really just comparing a vector to other vectors. There are several mechanisms to do that. But of course, you might be wondering why. Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to compare two vectors of numbers? Why would you want to take two 10-dimensional arrays of numbers and compare them to each other? Well, a vector can contain an embedding, and an embedding is a AI generated, a model generated piece of data where that particular vector contains semantic information about the contents of the picture or the text or the sound or whatever it's looking at. And so that embedding tends to put things that are contextually similar, things that are semantically similar in the same places in that vector. And so if you, for example, have a bunch of sightings of Bigfoot, then you can create embeddings out of them. And then ones that are near a body of water will have values that match in one area, and ones that happen at night will have values in another area, and ones that happen at a Walmart will have values in another area that overlap. And so when you say, give me the Bigfoot sightings that happen near a body of water at night with a Walmart nearby, it can then find vectors in Redis that match that they're very similar to it. And so it allows us to do semantic search, which is what we're really building here. We're semantically searching for Bigfoot. So that was like a 3-minute, just like a blah of what a vector search is. But hopefully that's helpful. We're going to be building that. Oh, it was at the end. Okay, yeah. So you read, you know me, Label. You know my habits. So okay. Glad you're enjoying it. Thank you very much, LinkedIn user. And you're very welcome as well, Mahmood. Happy to help. So I'm going to go back to my cheaty code here. And so I've got a chat prompt, and what I need to do is create a model next. So I'm going to bring in, and creating the model is actually not that hard. Let's go ahead and create our model const. We'll call this the summarization model, because we're going to use it. It's the LLM, but we're going to use it to summarize. We don't need to say, oh, wait, load model. We can just call new llama CPP model. And then we can just give it a model path. This is just the path to the model on the file system. And actually, it had figured it out for me. No, it hadn't figured it out for me. But that's this model right up here on the top left. So I'm going to copy relative path there. Yeah. Turns out you can look at the contents of a 7 billion parameter model, a 14 gig file inside of VS Code as the text. So let's get that. I am running an API, so let's just do model/Mistral7b instruct. So that will bring in the model. And then now we need to Well, we've got our citing, and we need to tell it to summarize the citing. So let's. I'm gonna put this on the next line because it's kind of longish. There we go. So let's go ahead and say const summary equals await summarization model, and it's not going to be summarize. And we're not going to call the model actually. We're going to use a chat prompt dot type. So the idea here, the reason this is called LangChain is because you can take the output of one model and feed it into the next model, into the next model, and there's pre-processors and post-processors and a bunch of stuff. So I could, in theory, take take the text that I've received, maybe do some pre-processing on it to get rid of like noise around the edges of it, like maybe HTML tags or something, I don't know. And then pipe that into a summarization model, which will then give me a summary, and then pipe that into the embedding model, and then pipe that into the next thing, and then invoke the whole chain that we create, the chain of LLMs, the large language models, in one thing. So that's why it's called LangChain. So I'm going to go with citing.observed. But we're going to pipe into our summarization model, and we're just going to invoke it directly. And then when we call invoke, we give it what we give it actually is an object that matches what's up here. So we created this template, the citing template, and in curly braces we have the word citing. And so what these curly braces mean is this is going to be interpolated. It's going to be changed into something. This is here, so you can put text around it. I saw a Bigfoot in state. Bigfoot doesn't have an H in it. So it's like if I wanted to have a template where a user just typed in a state name and then we feed in the rest of the template. So it's templating, right? Now our template's very simple because we just want to just have the citing there. But what happens is then those templates, that string interpolation that's happening there, when you call invoke on that model that you've from the chat prompt, it will take whatever properties are being passed in here. So we got curly brace object, and so we got citing dot observed. So it's going to take an object, and each of the properties in this object that map to the properties that are in that template will be replaced. And so this will just put the text of the citing into that template, which then chat prompt can make use of. So this should generate a summary. So I'm going to put this on another line like this just to make room for it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. I just want to see if what I have so far works. Does this actually do anything or not, right? Because that matters. I'm going to go ahead and really quick here again, throw up the QR code for those who haven't, who've joined recently that want to follow along with the code. I don't have this committed yet, but I will commit it at the end of the stream. So if you want to go check this out, you can go do that. The README does say, by the way, if you do want to pull down the code and play with it, you'll notice that the model that I have is grayed out here. That's because it's not committed to Git. That's because it's like 7 gigabytes. And so the README has the link where you can use to go download that model. So I've got this little function here. And actually, I don't need to log it out. I can just return it. And then the app.js here and say, it'll call embed and save, const summary, that. And then instead of logging it, we can just send it back. It's not JSON, but that's okay. And then we'll find out if we did this right. Because next I'm going to do something foolish and difficult. I'm going to attempt to remember how to use curl to hit that port. Actually, you know what? I am not going to attempt to remember how to use curl. I'm going to ask ChatGPT how to do it for me. Can you give me the curl command to hit the data route? There we go. And big in that so y'all can read it. There we go. perfect. Hey, it's Captain Codeman. It's been a long time since I've seen you. We actually called it Vector Similarity Search, but we've simplified the product name to just be Vector Search, because that's really what you're doing is you're comparing vectors and you're seeing how similar they are. I'm greatly relieved too, because we were abbreviating it VSS for Vector Similarity Search, and early in my career, I did a lot of, back in the 90s, I did Microsoft stuff, and we used a Visual Source Safe. And so whenever I hear VSS, I still think that stands for Visual Source Safe. So exactly. Exactly. You beat me to it. And so so now we're calling it VS, which of course makes me think of Visual Studio, but still. So I've got my command here. Let me go ahead and just open up another terminal window here. Or do I have another one open already? Just another bash terminal. There we go. Nope. No, that's not what I wanted to do at all. Still go to terminal, new terminal. Let's just do it the way I always do it, and then it'll work. It'll do what I want. Yeah, I wanted Z shell. That's right. So here it's saying if I do that, okay. Perl-x post localhost/data. I renamed this load. And content type is application JSON -D, and then I can pass in one of these Bigfoot sightings that let's just grab one from here. Just grab the first one. Is that got much to it? Well, let's pick one at random. Pick a number between 1 and 4,586. That one, number 533. And I'm just going to do this sort of in a kind of an ugly forcey way. Okay, there we go. That should be fine. Let's see what it does. That is not what I want it to do. It's probably because it's got spaces on it? That would have been handy. So we're going to do -x post. There's our port, content type application JSON, and then we need to give it some data. Let's actually simplify this a little bit, and let's type in our own. Let's see it work. So we'll give it a JSON data. We've got observed : I saw Bigfoot at Walmart buying size 17 flip-flops. There we go. That sounds like a legitimate story. And then I need to terminate that and terminate that. Enter. Error. So clearly something's broken. Let's see what's broken. Unexpected end of JSON input. What did I do wrong? Observed, I saw Bigfoot. There's the colon. Looks okay. Let's do it again. See if we get it. Yeah. Lo and behold, we got the same error again. Okay, so let's look through the error stack here. In JSON.parse, Semantic Search API, body parser. Okay, so let's do what all good programmers do, and we'll go into here. And let me turn that QR code off. It's blocking stuff. There we go. And make sure I can see the chat. What am I doing wrong here? I was gonna do what every good programmer does, which I was going to do a. Let's just make sure we're actually getting what we want. There we go. And then we'll hit it again. Cannot post. Okay, so we are getting some data there. Is it actually JSON? Yeah, observed. Let's try that. Let's try, hang on. I got so much crap on my screen, I can't tell what it's doing. It says can't post. Yeah, I don't understand why we're getting unexpected end of JSON input. Oh. Wrong URL. See, this is why pair programming is so important. That would do it, wouldn't it? Okay. So we got help from Twitch. Where do I press now? And we got help from Dartneer on YouTube, and we got help from LinkedIn. So thank you, Francesco and Dartneer. And where do I press now? And that's right, Daxudo. I actually worked for a consulting company before I worked at Redis, and we did exclusive pair programming. It was fantastic. I loved it. Of course, I felt I really had a lot of sympathy for all the people that were all the poor introverts that I had to work with. But you know, que sera, right? Yeah, it was really cool, Dax. It was really cool. Okay. Empty reply from server. Okay. Something broke. That's okay. Yeah, I mean, that's honestly, I like to joke, Dax, you know, one of the benefits of being a developer advocate is that it lets me monetize my narcissism. But I actually really do enjoy the pair programming. It's fantastic. Yeah, it really is kind of science communication, isn't it? So something else broke. And I'm going to let's just do this. That's a lot of something's breaking. It broke enough that I can't get to the bottom of it. Let's go ahead and npm start. You know, let's clear and Control K or Command K. Clear. Let's make sure it's really, really clear. Do an npm start. And then over here, I spelled observed correctly. Is it something as stupid as that? So I get an empty reply from the server because the server crashed. And then I have a whole bunch of errors here. Let's sift through this stack here. Yeah, I don't know. What am I doing wrong here? Well, it's going into embed and save. So let's go into embed and save. I don't think we really need to do this anymore. Actually, let's just make sure we're getting this in the format that we think we are. Let's do that first. Summary's not defined. Okay, that is a totally reasonable error, but it did get my my citing there. Okay, so okay, let's go into empty reply from the server, big stack error. Let's go into embed here, and we got our instruction template. We're creating that. We're piping. We're invoking. So I'm wondering, that sounds like a typical TypeScript developer to me. Yeah, you're right. And actually, to be honest, if I was building this from a production point of view, I probably would use TypeScript. I am building this from a production point of view. If I was building this for my production and less as an educational tool, I would probably use TypeScript because it would catch those sorts of things. It's where TypeScript shines. TypeScript is kind of a pain when you're building libraries because you have JavaScript users that use it, and so it lulls you into a false sense of security. But from a building an app sort of point of view, TypeScript is certainly the way to go. But here we are. Yeah, I wonder if there's something wrong with how I've got Metal work installed or something like that. DAX. But we're gonna plow through this and figure it out. So we've been streaming for 52 minutes. And I'm going to do the split half thing where I'm just going to wait and see, let's just comment some stuff out, and we're just going to return, just so that it's syntactically correct, and then hit the server. And my suspicion is it's the loading of the model that's failing. Yeah. So let's try this. I just want to see when it's going to work, so I can find the error. I know I can step through this. Okay, so that works. So it's the creation of the model that's failing. That could be a bit of a pain. I remember I had to do something with Metal to make it work on my Mac, but that was for my Mac, and then it was just working. And I literally got this working in another repository. Then I do this, then I have to reply from server, and it blows up because Metal init failed. So this could be a showstopper for the stream. It could be very unentertaining from this point. Well, we could sally forth into the set aside the summarization and then just go ahead and feed in one that will fit into it. Let me look at my cheaty code here, because I remember when I was poking around with this a couple weeks ago to try and get ready for doing this, that I used Llama CPP, and it gave me some issues, and I had to do something on my Mac to make Metal work, and I had to install Metal, but I had installed Metal on my Mac, and so it should just work. I mean, it shouldn't care that this is a new project. So I'm gonna look at my old cheaty code where I just poking around with LangChain for the very first time and see if there's any references to it in the package JSON. The Metal SDK, but I don't. There's nothing special in there. Oh crap. I think I actually funny story. So as I was doing this, I was working with ChatGPT a lot to get answers because it knows about LangChain, but its knowledge is got. There's that sliding window. It's like, well, my knowledge cutoff is this and this date. ChatGPT always will answer that when you ask about anything timely. And it insisted that there was not a JavaScript version of LangChain, that there was only a Python version, because when it had been trained last, or when its data had been last updated, the LangChain JavaScript version didn't exist. And so I wasn't able to actually get a lot of help. So Methalich has sounds like the module compiled for another OS. There was a thing along that line. So Metal's installed on your Mac separately, and then Llama CPP will talk to that. And because I've got an old Intel Mac, I had to change an extra thing that wasn't in there before, or not because it was an Intel Mac. It was because I had a non-NVIDIA graphics card on my Mac. I think it's an AMD one. But I did all those things, and it worked, and now it doesn't. So I'm just going to sort of plow through the fact of the summarization and see if I can get it there. Captain Codeman's got a great question: does model path need to be absolute? It does not. It can be relative. and I know that because I did that before. We could throw a // in here just to be a little extra sure. I bet that would be easy enough. But yeah, it's still failing. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and pretend that this does magic here and not summarize, because we're putting in ones that summarize already. And I can at least talk then about how we can create our embedding using the other models. And then when we're off stream, I can see if I can figure out what's wrong with this, because I don't want to spend the next hour trying random things and boring everyone to tears. Nothing's worse than a stream where it's like, oh my God, it's none of things working and it's all falling apart, and then people stop watching because they get bored and everything. So, but I'm gonna take a quick drink here first. And yeah, let's stop that. I think I am going to do one thing though here first. I'm going to go ahead and commit what I've created so far. Wait, get rid of that. Add dot commit -m incremental. That way, if people want to poke around with this on their own machines and maybe see if they can figure it out, then you can. That would be great. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then that also gives me a breakpoint, even though it has a crappy comment, where I can go back and play with this later and see if I can figure out what was going on. Maybe just a convenient commit object. So let's go ahead and sort of skip this part here. So all this stuff that I've written so far should work. It doesn't. I don't know why. I don't want to figure it out on the stream. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to comment all this out as like a professional developer, and then say const summary equals excuse me, citing.observed. Not a terrible plan. The solution it came up with is not an awful idea. I could just trim it to 512 bytes. I'm not going to do that because it's not what I want. I want the model to do the summarization. I'm just going to assign it there and return it. So there's my summary. And now, we're going to go to the next magical step, which I'm also going to get from my cheaty code. And we are going to use, do I have them imported? No, we don't. I'm going to use the Hugging Face Transformers embeddings. Basically, this downloads models from Hugging Face, runs them locally, and they've got an API for a series of embeddings. My guess is that when I run this and run it, it's going to tell me that there is a new version I need to import. It's not telling me that, actually. Because I thought that was a community one, but oh, well, we'll go with it. Oh, yeah, there it is. So it says beginning this from LangChain community. You know, this is the one thing, changing these imports is the one thing that I did different. And there's a little part of me that wonders if this is what the cause of the error is. Although it seems fairly unlikely to me. But, you know, who knows, right? Okay, so I'm going to bring in Hugging Face Transformers embeddings. And so, and I'm going to go ahead then and copy pasta the particular model I want to use. So ignore all of that. And then we'll use an embedding model here. So this is the model that creates the embedding off the text. And so it's Hugging Face Transformers embeddings, and we give it a model name. That is a username and model on Hugging Face. If you're not familiar with Hugging Face, which hopefully you are by now, but Hugging Face is sort of a, it's like GitHub for models. People create various models, riff off of other ones, mix and match them, transform them to different formats, and there's lots of people up there loading lots of models. Can't put these things on GitHub because they're just too dang big. And so Hugging Face is where they live instead. So that will create a model. It's not complaining yet. Let's go ahead and keep going. And let's see. So I should be able to actually just use this with Redis Vector Store directly. So let's do that. So let's go ahead and bring in Redis. So we'll do import create client from Redis. I don't think we want to create multiple Redis connections. So I'm going to create the Redis connection in the embed.js outside of the exported function. That way it happens once as opposed to every single time we call it. So const, do we want to call this Redis client maybe? We'll call it Redis. Equals create client. I'm just using localhost, so I don't have to pass in any arguments. If you're using something else, like if you are talking to Redis on the network, then you could put like your URL or whatever in here. I am just using Redis on localhost. The default to localhost port 6379. Redis is running already. And then we need the little bit of code, which I could probably do connect to Redis here. And come on. Give me the answer, Copilot. I might be using Cody instead. I might have switched out. Anyhow, so this is just a call to redis.onError. If Redis gets an error, report it. Don't just crash, right? Console.log. There we go. And then we just await redis.connect. And since we're using a modern version of Node.js, we can do top level await there, which is very nice. So that gives us a Redis connection. And then in here, what we can do is we can use the Redis Vector Store. And I need to import that as well. So, and this is a extension to LangChain, another community extension that was created by the fine folks at Redis. Redis Vector Store. From there, LangChain community embeddings. I don't think that's right. It's probably vector stores. And then Redis. And nothing's complaining yet. That's a good sign. So, as I look at my cheating code to remember what I figured out, because I only kind of half know what I'm doing here, but you know, it's kind of fun to watch people as they learn. You know, one of the things I like to say is that I said this at the beginning of stream is what I tend to do is I learn about a thing, I get excited, and I share it. Which means that I'm almost never an expert on the thing that I'm talking about, but I actually don't like the word expert. If you've ever used the word expert before to refer to yourself, frankly, I think that's kind of pretentious. But more to the point, when people ask, "Are you an expert?" It says so much, but it doesn't say anything at all. And so people have an inflated sense of what you should know if the label expert hasn't been applied to you. And so I am not an expert. I never claimed to be an expert. So, well, you know, so I'm kind of fumbling through this as best I can. I do have the documentation. Actually, let's just go look at the docs here. So here's the Redis LangChain page. So you see js.langchain.com. This is one of the integrations. And so if I wanted to index a doc or add a document, I can create a series of documents here. So you get Redis Vector Store. See, it is updated. And there's the URL, like I mentioned. They don't have the error handler there. They probably should, but that's okay. So I want to create a vector store and pass in from documents and then pass in a doc. I think I can. There's probably a way to do that without a. Let's just go ahead and create the vector store. So I think I can do this. Const vector store equals Redis vector store. And I think I can just do new vector store. And then that's going to take some arguments in it. It's going to be the embeddings interface. I think that's the model. That would be the embedding model. And then it's going to take, it's not like that. I like this really kind of config object. And we pass it a bunch of configuration options. And if we go back here and look, I think it's just these two right here would be fine. So Redis client on client would be the minimum. The index name is the name of the index that Redis search is going to create. So what the Redis vector store is going to do is I'm going to add documents to it. Those documents will have metadata, which is basically data. And it's going to have the text that we want to create an embedding out of. And it's going to set up a Redis search index and make a vector field for that particular piece of data. For that, the text that you pass in that you create the embedding for. So the index name is the index that Redis search needs. I'm going to call that index Bigfoot sightings, Bigfoot sighting index. And there's the client is your Redis client. And there's another option for prefix. I think it's key prefix. And I'm going to call it Bigfoot sighting. Because I want, by default, to put like .: index name. And I want to do my own thing. So I think this will set things up the way I want. I think, is there any, what other things does the embedding store have on there? So if I go to Redis Vector Store and then look at the constructor takes Redis Vector Store config, and it has an index name, a client. So there's actually the code. I think I have the code up here already. Frank, yeah, absolutely. So this is actually going to be out on our YouTube channel as well. I'm streaming live on YouTube, on Twitch, on X, and on LinkedIn. So if you've missed it, you can just go to our YouTube channel, and of course, give us the obligatory like and subscribe. But yeah, you can watch it there. There's something funny about saying like and subscribe. Actually, I'm playing in a role-playing game with some friends. I'm actually this evening, and one of the guys in the game thought it would be funny to take like a modern day profession that would have been handed down like 30,000 years in the future as a last name. And so he's like Jose Influencer. That's this character's name. And so he named our ship the Like and Subscribe in this science fiction game that we're playing. So pretty nerdy, honestly. So okay, so here's the code for the vector store config. For the constructor for the vector store. And the key prefix is going to be .: this index name, unless I overwrite it with a colon at the end. And it does put the colon at the end for me. So, okay, that was what I wanted to make sure of. So what I was concerned about is if I put the colon at the end here, is it going to put a second colon on the end for me? Because what it's going to do is it's going to say Bigfoot : sighting : 0 : 1 : 3 : 4,586, right? 4,585. And I want to make sure that it did put a double colon in there. So it won't. And what are my other options here? So we got context key, metadata key, vector key. I only really care about the prefix key. We got some index options that's going to be on hash by default, which is what we're going to do. And the prefix is going to be this key prefix. And then there are options for how to create the index. I think I'm just going to go with the defaults. Like up here, we've got indexing options. We're going to use the small world version will be fine. Cosine will be fine. I'm honestly tempted to go with flat instead because my data is not that big, and so I could probably get away with it. But I think for production at volume, this is the small world version is the way to go. So so we'll just take the defaults for that. And so that's our vector store. And then I should be able to then take the vector store. And then it's like, I believe it's, is it just add? Take a look at the API here again. Actually, let's look at the, I think we can just call add documents, plural. And so, okay, so we can just call add documents. And there's some options there. I don't know what the options are. batch size and keys. I'm not going to worry about that. Let's go ahead and do add document. And it wants an array. And so this document consists of two things: the metadata, which is an object containing a lot of data, and I believe it's just called the document or the content, something like that. What's the example say over here? And so, yeah, so we've got the metadata, the page content. That's what the variable name is. The page content is just going to be the text. And then behind the scenes, this will invoke this embedding model for us and store in a vector automatically. So what I can do is the metadata can just be the citing, which is there's the citing. That's the JSON coming in. And so that's an object that's got key value pairs. And so that'll have the ID and the state and the city and all that information. Ooh. Nice catch, Captain Code, man. Yes, that is totally correct. This is what I get for wantonly copy and pasting. There we go. That's Redis. I just called it Redis. But yeah, so the citing is the JSON object that we've handed in, we've posted from the URL, and then the page content is going to then be citing dot observed. And I'm going to just go with that. And I need a comma here. And then I believe that's async. I'd be surprised if it wasn't. Yeah. Oh, maybe it's not. It's not complaining if I put an await in front of it. So I'm guessing that would be correct. So, and that is not supposed to be there at all, which might be also why it wasn't complaining. So that will add that document to Redis as a vector. And then we are not going to see the summary because we don't have a summary. We can just say return data added. We'll say added citing, and then we'll do string interpolation. It's $ curly brace, right? Yeah. And then we'll go citing dot ID. There we go. Well, do we think this is going to do anything? Let's find out. So I'm going to go and do this. I'm going to go ahead and add ID colon 1234. That's a string, even though it contains numbers. I'm going to hit enter here. We're going to see what happens. Empty reply from server. No. What did I do wrong here? Documents.map is not a function. Oh, this is an array. There we go. Let's try it again. That's added citing 123 to the vector store. So it says it added it. Let's find out. So I am running Redis on Docker, so I can just go to localhost 8001. I think that's the port. Go into Redis Insights. I've got some random junk in here from things, but here's Bigfoot sighting 0. If we look at it, there's the content, there's the metadata, there's the content vector. Cool. The metadata doesn't store like I expected it to. I thought it was going to pull it apart into keys and values, but we have our content, we have our metadata, and we have our content vector. So this vector is clearly binary data representing that value. So it stored a thing. Cool. Let's add a couple more things here really quick. In fact, maybe we should, it actually did that pretty quick too. So I think what I'm going to do is there was that really clever code that it came up with where it sliced the citing. Although that is going to slice the string to 512 characters. I don't think that's what we want. I was thinking maybe we could go ahead and write a little script that then reads that JSON-L file and starts shoving things into here. But I don't think I want to do that. I think what I'm just going to do is make up some more Bigfoot sightings. We'll go with 2, 3, 4, 5. And let's see, what other Bigfoot sightings can we imagine? I saw Bigfoot while fishing at night at Lake. Whatchamacallit. No, I don't know how to type whatchamacallit. I'll go with a place nearby, Lake Hope, which is a lake in southeastern Ohio near where I live. Probably frozen over today. Because it's like 9 degrees in Ohio right now. I know some of you are further north than me, and so it's probably colder for you. Captain Codeman in particular, I believe you're in a much colder place than I am. But I'm going to go ahead and just post a few of these. And I saw Bigfoot in my backyard eating raspberries. Like SpongeBob at night. And then we'll make this 3, 4, 5, 6. So Captain Command should have used the ID in the Redis hash. Redis Vector Store doesn't do that by default. I haven't figured out yet if there's a way to get it to do that or not. It would be nice to be able to point to a field within your metadata and say use that as the ID instead, or be able to tell it that ID, so it's not just using a next sort of thing. But for now, it just starts at 0 and increments. So that's what it's using. And Captain Command said, you just had -40. I was going to ask Celsius or Fahrenheit, but I know it doesn't matter. So you are up in the Great White North there, eh? And Austin, my boss is in Austin. He was saying it was pretty cold there today too. It was like 19 degrees Fahrenheit. So, and snow in the forecast. Balmy. Everyone's talking about the weather. That's what we do on the stream. We talk about the weather and write crazy code. But yeah, it's been cold today and windy. We've had a lot of really intense wind. So, well, I've got 3 of these in here. We can go ahead and confirm that they're in here. Let me go ahead and refresh. And yeah, so we got 3 sightings in there. There's sighting 0, night fishing, and eating raspberries. And I'm sure these are all under 512 tokens because I didn't want to type that much. So we're good. So let's I guess let's try to search them. We good? Do we have time for that? How are we doing on time? We got about 40 minutes left in the stream. Let me take a quick beverage break here. I have to stay properly caffeinated when I'm streaming because otherwise I'll run out of energy. It's not like a live talk where I have smiling faces or frowning faces, depending on how the talk's going, to keep me going. The embedding makes it 512 consistently. Is that a question or just a statement? I know this particular embedding model will only accept 512 tokens. And so we were having problems, which is why I wanted to summarize. Technically speaking, we would have to summarize. I could just like trim the documents to be 512 words. But I thought it'd be cooler to show LangChain actually being used as a chain of large language models working together. Although I guess this is called mini LM, so maybe, it's not that large. But yeah, let's go ahead and let's see if we can. Okay, you're going off how TensorFlow stuff works. I mean, yeah. I mean, ultimately, the vector that it's inputting is going to have to be 512 tokens. It's just a lot of them are going to be empty at the end because, each word there. I haven't really looked at the details of how these models work. I have done some work with recurrent neural networks more directly. And so every word that gets injected into, a thing becomes its own little embedding. So that as a way of mapping those words to context. But anyhow, this is one of those areas where I'm not an expert. I like to describe it, and I think this is an important thing for developers to hear. Honestly, is that you need a I use a car analogy. As a developer using these tools, you need a mechanic's understanding of an engine, right? A mechanic who works on your car understands how your engine works and what it does. Although it tends to be a little bit more of a formulaic way. Formulaic might be the wrong word, but they are able to improvise and stuff. But they don't have the skills necessarily to design an engine. A real good mechanic might. But they understand how they work, and when they have problems, and they can rebuild them, and they can troubleshoot them and work with them. And as a developer, we are not data scientists. It's hard to be both. Being a data scientist is a career in all its own. And so we can have a mechanic's understanding of how these models work and how to use them. But having a full-blown, deep understanding of all the math that goes into them and everything is, frankly, unnecessary. So we have tools that will do that for us, and we can be very, very productive even with our meager mechanics engineering understanding of things. Mechanical sympathy, that is correct. So we've got an endpoint that adds things to the thing. Let's go ahead and see if we can do a search. I think that's probably the thing we want to see, right? Okay. So in the app, we've got our post. Now we've got our little get there. How do we want to bring our query in? Do we want to do a post for that as well, and pass in the query as an object and then get a response back as a JSON document or something like that? Or do we want to just do it as query parameters? I think I want to do the post again, honestly. But I don't have much of a dog in this fight. We don't want to call it embed. We want to call it query. Search. Call it search. And there's our async there. And then the body of that. So yeah, there's our query. We've received it. I really don't care. So we've got embed.js. Maybe that might not have been a great name in hindsight, because I'm going to create another function called export async function. We'll just call this query. We'll just call it query. Query. We'll just call it text. I think text is a better word because we're querying on text. So, and then in here, we can then say, we can import, embed and save, and query. And then wait, query, query. Okay. And then return results. And we'll see what this does. So export async function query text. And then let's go ahead and take a look at the example we have over here on the Redis Lang page as well here. So that is our index docs example. Let's query our docs. So we've got our vector store. There's our embeddings. There's our client, our index. So I'm thinking we need the same Redis connection. We need the same vector store connection. I think that I'm going to take this code here and put it up here and share it there. So say create an instance of the vector store. Here we go. And then we'll do a similarity search. And I think that's pretty much it. that seems pretty easy. Let's go ahead and oh crap, I need to make a change there. So the embedding model is being passed into there, so the embedding model now needs to go up here as well. Just fine. Create the connect to Redis, an instance of the vector store using those two pieces. So Redis and the embedding model. And then here we'll ignore all that comment.code, and then we'll use that vector store to add documents. There's our metadata. There is the text that we are embedding. And then we'll return a little message saying we did it. And here we do a similarity search, and we're going to search for Walmart. That seems like a good one. And we just think we want one result because we only have 3 things in our database. And this is our response, our result. And then we can just return the result. Is it going to be that easy? Is it going to be that easy? I'm not hopeful, honestly. Okay, let's do a curl post. And I called this endpoint search. Let's not make that mistake again. Search query text. What possibly could go wrong? Well, search that, and then we are going to do query. And then get rid of all this other stuff. Walmart. I think that's the query I want to do, right? So it takes it takes a query on the main thing. Let's see if it's running. It's the moment of truth. What's it going to do? Empty reply from server. Boom, baby. Of course it failed. Of course it failed. It always fails the first time. It's like Neo in the Matrix. Query is not a function. Yeah, it is. Did I import it? Did I spell it wrong? Have I shadowed it? Oh, yeah. Yep. Shadow the variable. Yep, I see it too. Okay. So let's, the query is a crappy name for this guy anyhow. So this is embed and save. We'll call this query vector query Redis. That's not a very good name either. Naming is hard, but that's what we're going to go with. And then down here, now we'll call query Redis, and that should be happier. Did I do it for another word as well? Oh, search. Yeah, search would have been a name. The lag, right? The lag. It's waiting a while. That's always a good sign. Come on, you can do it. Big money, no whammies. Is it doing anything? Didn't complain. The search shouldn't take that long. It should be really quick. what is the result? What is it that gets returned here? It returns a promise that, let's look at the documentation. It returns a document, an array of documents specifically. And my guess is that it did something, but it didn't have anything to return. Maybe. Let's see here. Model. This is part of a chain. I don't really need to use a chain for what I'm doing. I did do similarity search, right? Yeah. Ah, yeah, that's right. Response.send. Thank you, sir. It's always the silly stuff. Okay. Let's try that again. I saw Bigfoot, so I found the Walmart one. Perfect. I'm going to type that to JQ so it's a little more easy to read. So it returned a document, page count. I saw Bigfoot at Walmart buying size 17 flip-flops, and then there's our metadata. Perfect. That worked. Let's see if I can use body of water. So I didn't use the word water at all in any of the things I added, right? So I used, I mentioned Lake Hope. I mentioned lake, which is a body of water. I mentioned fishing. I mentioned backyard and raspberries in one of them. I mentioned Walmart flip-flops, but I didn't mention body of water. So if I search for body of water, I should get the Lake Hope one, right? I'm a little nervous. I'm almost afraid to hit return, but let's do it. That is not the correct answer. Is there a way to do dash as a dash S for silent or something like that? Yeah, there we go. It found the Bigfoot, found the Walmart one again. Not what I was expecting to do. Let's look for lake. Let's try something else here. Let's do. Oh. It's hard coded. Gosh, why does it keep looking for Walmart? Because I'm an idiot. Okay, let's try that again. There we go. Now I did lake. Let's do footwear. Is it W-E-A-R, right? Type. Did a search for footwear. Found Bigfoot buying Walmart flip-flops at Walmart. Let's do water. That is not what I would have expected. Body of water. Body of water. Yeah, so I figured out Lake Hope. I do search for night or at dark. Yeah, see if it finds it at night. So hey, it's totally working. Cool. Helps if I don't hard code the argument into there. So this is actually doing some basic semantic search where you can type in, you know, I could type in a little more robust here of some sightings here. At night, let's do eating fruit, eating berries. No, what would be backyard suggests suburbs near home. Now it knows that I live in Lake Hope, near a house. Is it? Yeah. Okay. See. So the model knows that a backyard is something associated with a house, and so they created these embeddings. So it will find things that they're semantically related. Cool. I'm going to go ahead and commit this because I feel like this is a high five moment. So let's go ahead and git add dot git commit -m simple example working, needs fix for summarization. Now, the summarization model is a lot slower, so in some ways it's kind of better that I didn't end up doing that this time, because the cycles are longer. So let's push this up there. So for those who are following along on GitHub, you have a new version you can download and play with. Here's the QR code for those of you who want to check that out. So, yeah, what should I do next? I feel like I could try fixing the summarization thing, but I have a feeling that's going to be a exercise in futility. We don't have to go the whole 2 hours, I suppose. I've got some bad names for things here. I feel like I could stand some cleanup with the code. I mean, my API consists of, I'm going to get rid of, I don't need this get route here anymore, so I'm going to get rid of that. Let's just do some cleanup here. I don't care about that comment. Importing Express is importing Express. We don't need a comment telling us that we're importing Express. Let's work on renaming some of these things here. There's our instance of Express. Don't need a comment for that. Use JSON middleware. I think that's a worthwhile comment. For auto magic parsing of JSON bodies. If someone is not super familiar with Express, the use express.json might be something that they might need to know. So bring the chat back up there. So there's that. This is going to do a search, and then we get the query out of the JSON object. I think I might want to call this, I mean, I'm using the query argument. I think I should probably use the same word for everything. So search. Now the query is the thing you use to search, so I think that's appropriate. I could just inline this, honestly. That would be fine. I probably want to massage the results that I get back from query Redis here, because it's returning that array of documents. It actually is JSONifying pretty nicely, but this result here that we're returning actually is a document object. And it might be worthwhile to massage it. Maybe, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to. So search looks tidy. Yeah, this is defining a post route. We want to load. Here we got our citing, and then we send our summary back. But this is kind of clunky, weird. This is. Yeah, I want to leave the log in there or not. So we get the citing, which is the body itself, and then we get the we pass that citing into embed and save, and then we get a summary back, which I don't think we actually care about anymore. So let's get rid of that and just say send. Send a JSON object back because this is a JSON API. Response. Let's do something simple. What is the embed and save function returning right now? It's returning a response. Result. So we'll just return a little JSON object that has the result of that, the response that we get back. Yeah, that's okay. That looks tidy enough. I don't want to log. I feel like that's messy coding practice. So there's our citing, our result. We respond with something. We get results back here. And then this starts the server listening on port 3000. I'm just going to move this up top here. Server port, express port. There we go. Here. I mean, I could use like a .env for the port, but I think hard coding it is fine for what we're doing here. For now, Okay, let's look at embed and see if we can come up with some better names here. So here's a, I'm going to leave this uncommented out code there. Or let's comment that out since it's not actually doing anything. We will bring that back at a future point once we get that summarization. You know what? You know what this needs? This needs some pulling apart. Summarize. That should be a function in its own. Even though, actually, this would be nice because then I can just not call summarize, but then still have the code there. So I could take that, the citing template, the chat prompt, the summarization model, and then that instructions there, and I can put it all in this one function called summarize, and it gets the observed report. There we go. So there's the instructions to the model. Here, this, blah, 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 blah. Here's our model. This needs to be async. And why is it complaining about the await? Okay, it was just catching up. Just took it a little while to adapt to reality. And then this is going to be return summary. Now we've got a little summarize function. You give it the text. I think text is a very meaningful word here. And then we invoke citing is, and we just call this text. Okay. There we go. So now we got a summarize function that when we call embed and save, you know, the step one will be called the const summary equals await summarize citing.observed, and then the summary will go in here as the page content instead. But this for right now will be const summary equals citing observed. And we'll put the summary there. That way, when we're ready to do it, we can just do this, this, and then everything's happy, right? So that's a lot cleaner of a way to comment out a ton of code. So we got our embedding model there, which everyone's using. We got our Redis connection. We got our vector store. I think the summarization model probably belongs up there as well, but I suspect the second I do that, we're gonna be back to that. Because I really only want to create it once. I don't want to create it multiple times because it's an expensive proposition. But the second I put that up there, we're going to get this error. Yeah. So we'll leave it down here for now, and we'll do that tried and true programmer practice of using a to-do. Make this a global variable. Not really global, but you know, at the top. There we go. Now wait, I'll make that sound much more professional. Instantiate model outside of this function. There we go. That way I'm not using the word global, and so it's totally different. Because we really do not want to be having this model down here. I am going to put that model at the top here, top of that function, because I think that's a slightly better place for it. There's our instruction template, our citing template, our chat prompt, our summary, our summarization of that. And we pass in that text and we get a summary back and return it. So that looks tidy. And then here we would call summarize to get the summary. Yeah. So we got a summarize function. We got query Redis, which is, let's just call that search. And you know what? Let's just call this save. That is a perfectly valid name for what we're doing. As far as the front end is concerned, it doesn't know that we're using vector search. We could be using anything. So we'll call this search. We'll call this save. And then up here, we will say save, search, and save. And then I think one other thing I want to do over here to refactor a little bit, to tidy this up, is we've got one of the things we're doing here is we're well, I guess we really don't need to do the embedding because Redis is doing it for us. I mean, we don't have an embed. We don't have a need to call an embedding. We could manually do the embedding ourselves and not use Redis vectors, the Redis vector store, but I don't think we want to do that. I think this is way easier. So yeah. Let's make sure that I didn't break anything in the refactoring. That's always an important step. You know, kind of like how you want to test things. Let's make sure, yeah, that's a query near a house. Figured it out. Cool. So I didn't break anything. Let's add another thing. Let's add another citing. No, we got one. There we go. There's a load. What's a while hunting near what's a Smith's Holler Creek. I saw a large furry humanoid figure in that distance. Did I miss? Get rid of the apostrophe. I'm not going to bother escape it. I'm just going to, there we go. So, and it looked like that worked. Let's go ahead and check Redis Insight and make sure that it showed up in there. And there is another one with Smith's Holler Creek. So we can do a query. Let's do hunting and fishing. I found a fishing example. We could actually, if we want to see, I think it will return as many as you tell it to. So like if I give it 5 as the number, the quantity, well, that would be an interesting and easy thing to add, is just to make quantity an argument. So I said hunting and fishing. So I found fishing, found hunting, and then I found backyard, and then I found Walmart. This actually feels like an appropriate order for everything. I asked for hunting and fishing. Those are the first two. The next one was outside as opposed to in a store, which, I wonder if you could do outdoors. Would probably return the same order. Outdoors. Yeah. It's not the same order, but it put all the outside stuff first. So I actually had a thought for a simple feature that I could add here, which I think would be worthwhile, is the query body could also return a count. And if you don't specify a count, it will default to 1. And then in here, we can do a search query and count. And then in search here, We got count. It should be query and count. And then we search for query and count. And we need a parenthesis in the right place there. And that actually should just work. So now if I do a search, count :2, it should return me 2 sightings, and it does. Yeah, that's a nice little touch. Yeah. Well, I think I'm going to call the stream here. I feel like I got quite a bit done. I ran into a problem early on. Haven't resolved that issue yet. I'll figure that out offline and see if I can figure out what's going on there, and I'll push those out. I'll probably do that honestly just as soon as I'm done streaming, because it's still fresh. But let's go ahead and commit what we have so far. You all can go play with it. QR code is still up there if you are looking to check out this code on yourself, or you want to fork it, change it, send me a pull request, et cetera, et cetera. Git commit -m refactored and added a count option. It is up there now, so go ahead and have at it. And I think I'm going to wrap this stream up. We're shutting down about 6 minutes early, which is totally acceptable. As far as I'm concerned. So while you've got me, any last minute questions on what we've been doing here today? Happy to show anyone something if they would like to see it. There's still 15 of you out there watching as far as I can tell on various platforms. So I'm kind of stalling a little bit because there's a lag when I ask the audience questions, the viewers questions. And, it takes a few seconds for them to come piling in. But yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with how this is going. It's working. It's doing stuff. And it's even for as weak as my examples are, we can we're getting meaningful. I mean, it's actually getting the semantics of what I'm querying and the semantics of the content that I'm going there. I mean, it's magic. It's really cool. So yeah. Well, if there are any other questions, I'm going to take one last swig of my cola flavored beverage here. Their color matches our brand colors. Always fun. And I think I'm going to wrap this up. So let me go ahead and turn my screen off here. There we go. So thank you all very much for watching. I hope you found that enjoyable. Yeah, even if, there's, I realize most of you probably are not like actively watching all the time, because, this is kind of good content to do other things to. But hopefully you learn something, and that you will download this code and play around with it. And let me know if you have any questions. You can hit me up on probably on our Discord server would be the best option. The Discord server is let me throw this up here really quick in a quote. Is it the captions option? As I figure out how to use this tool, let's add a QR code for it. Join Discord, and then if I get the Discord URL, it'd be https://discord.gg/Redis. Add, and if you want to sign up for our Discord server, scan that QR code there. And the next one will be a total rickroll. So but if you have questions there, Discord's the best way to get a hold of me to ask them, or anyone else on the team. So, but with that, that's pretty much all I've got. So I'm going to leave that up there just long enough in case anyone wants to scan that QR code. So I'm stalling a little bit here. So anyhow, well, thanks a lot for watching, and I'm going to take that QR code down now, and I will see you all on Friday when I'm going to continue this. So it'll be Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern time, which would be 1800 or 1900 UTC. That'd be I think 11 a.m. on the West Coast, and 7 p.m. in the UK. So 8 p.m. Central European time. So thanks a lot. See y'all later. Let me roll the where is it here? Let me roll the thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.